Ken, what keeps somebody in a relationship? I mean, for her it's 8 years. I'm sure there are others who stayed longer. What keeps somebody in an abusive relationship, yet they know they're being abused?
You want a bad answer? Love.
Really?
There's this elusive concept called love, which is just a bunch of emotional, networks that we never really understand. And a lot of people actually, if you want now the correct answer, it is circumstance. Yeah, there are so many things about your life that you don't want to change, and each one of us is seeking comfort. You're looking for a comfort zone, mentally and, everything-wise, economically. And once you get into a marriage, for example, you don't want to walk out because, like they always say, there might be worse hyenas out there. So you end up trying to make this one work. And all of us, we spend our lives making it work. Once you go into a marriage, once you go into school, once you go into a job, your effort is directed at making it work. And that's why marriages, survive despite some very horrible atrocities in marriage. But thinking about her case, you have a multitude of spouses who are in that kind of quagmire. And one of the things I always tell people is look out for, work and relations. Actually, those two things are the key problems when it comes to emotional abuse. What's the guy doing at work? What's happening to him at work? Or vice versa, what's the woman going through at work? Is she being disturbed? Is she unhappy with her occupation? And when they get back home, you're the only available punching bag. Yeah, sometimes it's not so much work, it's relations out there. How does he relate with his family? How does he relate with his friends? And if out there he suffers inferiority, then when he gets back home, now he has to impose superiority. And so a lot of people interchange. Once they're out there, they do their thing, they're probably, abused by the boss and all these things at work stress him. When he gets home, finally, he's in his domain. Yeah, and that's the beauty with the mindset that I'm now in my little kingdom, even if it's just a small room in a slum, but that is his kingdom. And that happens a lot. The worst form of emotional abuse actually is passive, is somebody who never says anything. And women are so good at this, forgive me for saying that. Women are so good at that. You sit there trying to talk to her and she just looks at you. And that's why you have these common examples of, like the guy who said recently that one day he woke up and found his wife staring at him in the middle of the night. And when he asked her, what's going on? She said, I love you, I'm just looking at you. But the guy after that never slept a wink.
It's scary.
Yeah, because you're thinking, what is she thinking? Why is she not saying anything? Yeah, so passive emotional abuse is where the other person deliberately withholds their emotions from you. So you are not able to exploit, because sometimes an argument is just as well. In sociology, we call it instrumental conflict. You're fighting, but you resolve it. So when you scream at each other about something, you don't do it again next week. You already screamed at each other about that one last week. So you're actually making yourselves better. The problem is, like I said at the beginning, if you keep screaming about the same thing, then you have a problem. But if there are different issues, for God's sake, in a marriage, scream at each other. It's healthy, because then it creates, it's like going to war. If you're fighting terrorism, you'll kill people in the process, but you've achieved something, and so the casualties are supposed to be the product of the result.
Wow. We've concentrated heavily on emotional abuse in regards to spouses, to husband, wife, and I'm going to come in and also ask what other forms of emotional abuse we can get and from which quarters.